Good afternoon. How are you? Well, it's a beautiful day out. The temperature's not bad. And Thomas Jefferson says it's 54 degrees here. But the humidity is 76%. And there are clouds, and they did forecast rain. I don't know what it's like where you are, obviously. And the wind, and they always use this term breezy, it's at 1.1 miles an hour. So I don't expect any interference with the sound of my voice. Yesterday, a lot of people went and convened because of the death of Vice President Cheney. Now, in death, former Vice President Cheney is described in today's Post in a call-out describing the entire affair beneath a picture of the event. And Cheney is described as having gravitas, that solid character with wisdom and equanimity to all. That wasn't Cheney. In truth, his conduct in office was grave, not about gravitas, and corrupt, about lying to the public. And so, I do agree that a person should be remembered at least by his family and friends in death. But by the same token, I don't think we have to lie as someone slides out of view of the public. And there are some acts that people take that outweigh whatever good they did or whatever friendliness they had. And there is a very subtle feeling about the elite, people who've been elevated from among us to hold important positions. But we do that because we see in people gifts. In the case of Trump, we see depravity. Ironically, in the measured distance between Cheney and Trump, the Cheney family didn't want Trump at the ceremony. They'd rather have other phonies present, I guess. Okay, so I'm sorry about that, but needlessly, people died in Iran-Contra and in Iraq, and there were all sorts of lies and inappropriate conduct that got us there. And here we are presently, right now, dealing with Trump, who thinks that he can convene the effort in appearance and perhaps in substance of military might in South America because of our power to do what we want. It's just not acceptable. Not in Venezuela, not Colombia, not any place. And if boundaries agreed upon and fought for and established over time are not respected, then we have only chaos. And we already have, on an index of 0 to 100, 78.3% chaos. These are numbers I make up. The decimal point always makes it sound more authentic. But you be the judge of what is the index of irrationality and pain and suffering and lack of liberty and discrimination. What do you think that number is? Now, Trump told his soldiers in D.C. to, in a sense, occupy without a basis in law or fact to justify it, suspiciously seizing upon this provocation for when he might declare martial law if that's what he needs to stay in place. So, Trump believes that if you are insisting in the law, which he does not ever do, that disobedience of him, of any order he should issue, is wrong. We had members of Congress in the last couple of days instruct from their military and intelligence and other backgrounds the proven notion that a soldier may and should disobey an unlawful order. Now, Speaker Johnson, when he describes the act, he says, how can Congress go around and say the soldiers should just disobey orders? Leaving out the description of unlawful orders, which is what they said. And then, what is the response? They deserve death. That's what Trump said. Instead of you're fired after he said for how many years, he now says, off with your head. Like some potentate in some banana republic. Sorry guys, but it's true. He would deem who would be in the Tower of London or in the East Wing if he hadn't destroyed it. So, what we have is our public debate is a person's statement or question is met with trash talk. It's met with punishment, if you can get away with it, even if it's to charge somebody with an offense, causing them to get lawyers to protect them from this piggy potentate. He treats the question of a reporter, legitimate in context and on current affairs, and threatens to take away the license of the corporate entity that would send this reporter to the White House to ask the question as Trump sits next to a murderer who is being sanctified by Trump when by our own intelligence and by UN intelligence, he was involved in the killing of a journalist, Khashoggi. Not just a killing, lured him to a place where he thought he was going to get the papers necessary for a marriage. They killed him, they dismembered him, and they put him in some chemical mix so there'd be no evidence that he had ever existed. So, what do we have? By this war of class and boorish, aggravated oppression, we have him calling a reporter names. Run down those people who would disagree with you in the smallest degree. By the way, isn't Trump really the piggy? Isn't he, objectively and fairly? You know, there are people who may have been svelte and health does things to them, genes do things to them. You know, people talk about shaming a person. It's not about shaming a person, it's respecting the individual condition you may not know anything about. If someone asks you, or you're with a person you can suggest for health reasons to do something, but to insult someone on national or international TV and call names when a serious question was asked so that his insult would eclipse the actual question that the reporter put, is that the America we want? In case you haven't heard, our Coast Guard no longer classifies swastikas and nooses as hate symbols. Now, isn't that something? There are some who think that's free expression. I don't. I remember when the ACLU, and I've been a member for many years, but when I was in school, they decided to support the freedom of expression of the Nazis. And of all the things that were happening in America that one could spend time on, I didn't, crowing in the evening. Of all the things that the ACLU could spend its time and our flimsy dues on, which is what was the case when I was a student, I just thought I was wrong. And I still do. My uncle spent time in a camp when he was caught during the war when he was fighting in Italy. I can't wrap my mind around supporting Nazis in any respect. And I think to do so isn't to be liberal that anything can be said about anything. Because these symbols are so intertwined with the action and the desolation and death of Jews, of political offenders, to Hitler's way of thinking, and so forth. So I have no room in my hierarchy of values, including freedom of expression, that can rest gentle hands on the expression of one swinging a noose or a swastika. Particularly with this president, you see what he goes with it. He foments and considers that others will hear and perhaps act, and he'll claim no responsibility for it. This disease that has engulfed America, misunderstanding what freedom of expression is all about, caught up a professional woman in Texas. $550 million they have for the preservation of the Alamo. My dad, who was imperfect in some ways maybe, but I understood what he was saying. We were talking about the Alamo one day when I was a kid. And he said, yeah, Johnny, that's where Mexican fought Mexican. But he did elaborate about how it was a way of seizing territory. And some might think that would diminish my appreciation of the goodness of America. In fact, it did. It did. Because we seized land and property that wasn't ours. It's a long time ago. It's not the only property. So what was her offense? Her offense was, on Columbus Day, a memorial was posted on their website of this project to restore the Alamo. And they supported Columbus Day, and they said, in memory of Indigenous Peoples Day. She was fired for the latter. That and a writing that she had done years earlier, in which she said the Alamo could be a point, a pivot for us to cooperate and understand each other. I agree with that. Maybe just like my dad is saying, this is how it was perceived and what is it now. It's a beautiful section of town. It is worthy for people to understand it. It is part of our history. And to shield people from the truth is to leave them without the weapons, the information to know how to handle the new emergency and the new conflict and the new problem. So, that's what I got today, this beautiful day, among the grass still green, the trees almost without leaves, and you can hear the animals, and they're pretty happy. In fact, today is warm enough that a number of the pigs are just laying around in the field, flat out. If we bring any food near them, that'll change that. So, I say good day for today, and hopefully I'll talk to you again tomorrow. All the best. Bye-bye.